a number of the issues in terms of psychosis, mental health, distress, difficulties, depression, anxiety, a lot of that starts when you're young. The mission was start working with young people. So we then gathered our resources, we then gathered our network, we then gathered our leadership from within the community, from within our public agencies, and started to put a lens on young black people's mental health, which started the process towards this conference.
The bloody burden hovering over you like a quiet rain cloud, and it causes the effect so you won't speak too loud, car.
You don't see vision. You can't even visualize yourself having a better mindset, being able to progress.
And I wanted to share this because it was really important for me to learn about my history and learn that my history isn't just a history of oppression, it's also a history of resistance.
We need to focus on encouraging our youth by praising them when they do something good. So there is...
Like we said at the very beginning, we can't carry on like we have been doing. We've got to change some things, and we've got to make that change happen. And all of us in this room, from me to everyone who said something, we can all play a bit of a part in that.
So we're both studying social work, so we're both student social workers at the moment, and we thought that something like this would benefit us because there's not enough attention placed on young people and mental health at the moment, and I feel like stuff like this, which encourage early intervention initiatives, they'll be really beneficial, not just for our knowledge, but for the general knowledge of the society.
In my experience, more than 20 years in the mental health system, adults, young people, children, families, I've never come across somebody with a mental health problem, whether it's been depression or severe enduring mental health problem like diagnosis of schizophrenia, who has not experienced huge adversity, both the more overt kind, like violence, direct violence, but also the violence of racism, the violence of all kinds of forms of oppression and social disadvantage and social abuse. So for me, it makes no sense to think of mental health problems as an illness.
I think a lot of people look at dance and they think, it's something girls will do. And they don't feel like, a lot of guys as well, they don't feel like dance is something that they feel like they can express themselves with. But today when we spoke in our workshop, we did actually tackle a lot of those issues. And we did tell them, like me and the other person I was dancing with, Mishak, we did talk about the fact that there is this stigma of if you're a dancer, it's more likely for you to be a female. But I'm a living proof, he's living proof that guys do this, and guys do have a way of expressing themselves through dance. So it's a very good, our workshop today was very good. It was very productive. I feel like everyone left learning a little bit more about dance.
Well, the first thing that struck me is how many people are here. Fantastic attendance. Really, they managed to reach a lot more people than I thought would be here. And compared to the Healing Our Broken Villages events, there is probably a wider range of people here. And it was great to see so many young people. Obviously, it's a young person's conference around things, but I was just amazed at how many people were here and how many people wanted to contribute and speak about issues.
It was a really nice event, so nice to talk to and listen to so many young people, and a real diverse range of Wandsworth young people. It was good to hear some of their experiences of the challenges of living in Wandsworth. Their experiences of, in some cases, of emotional and mental health, or witnessing other people who have had difficulties around their mental health. And we also talked about what we could be doing differently. We talked about some things that are working really well currently, and we talked about how we can develop an action plan to improve existing services. So, yeah, really positive day.
The one about community was to try and find a solution to how we could bridge the gap between the older and the young, and it was more, we found if there were more places where younger people could like mix in with older people, it will be easier, because there isn't much like it, because lots of them are more like scared of us than we are of them. Like when they see a group of us, they think, oh my god, what are they doing, why are they here? So it would be nicer to think that if they could actually like approach us, if there's something wrong, they wouldn't feel scared like, oh my god, there's something's going to happen.
I think the different art forms are a way of really just getting out of whatever you're on. So I feel like it's a good way to get people off the streets and get people out of the gangs, etc. And I feel like it's like people should have more clubs and stuff like that to go to during the summer, during the East, to keep them off the roads and such.
And we're working a lot on tailoring yoga to particular groups and their needs. And so we've really come here today to listen more than anything else, to hear what people are suffering, what they need. Yoga is a really important instrument for giving young people calm and a chance to ground themselves, regulate their own emotions, and it just makes them better at dealing with all the stuff that happens to them. So it's a really good tool, and I think really, really important to bring it into this context where the truth is it's not very well known yoga, not many people do yoga, and particularly the young men in this community would really, really benefit, I think.
One of the things I'll be doing following this conference will be updating that, hopefully to put pictures and photos and quotes of young people, but also to include and to align some of the actions. So I'll be thinking about what was said today, what was proposed, and I'll be thinking, well, how does that fit with what we've already said we will do? How does what we've said we'll do need to be kind of rejigged and reshaped, and is there anything new that needs to go into that plan?
This is something that doesn't happen every day, do you know what I mean? And I actually appreciate the fact that they're finally looking at young, not only just the black minority of us, but like the youngsters, you know?
And some of the ideas that they came up with around creativity, around having a social pathway into care. Because what the institutions do, mental health institutions, they have clinical pathways in. Your GP, your hospital, and coercive pathways like the police. What we need is social pathways. Clubs, youth centres, faith networks, creative activity, where young people can come to heal, to recover, and if necessary, find a supportive pathway into getting the care they need.
Somebody called Alan Wade talks about this kind of approach, and he says that whenever somebody is harmed in any way, they always resist. And I think that's such an important kind of idea. But that creativity and creative ways of resisting or creative ways of engaging with the world.
So the same way as we took all of the information that's out there, some great ideas, we need to take that back and say, well, what are the key things on here we can do? Form a short list of things that we can say, these are the actual things that we can achieve. And then Malik was saying that we'll work through the organisation to send that out to people, and we'll put some specifics in there. These are the things that we'll look to do to make sure a difference for next year. We'll measure it from what is now and what it is next year, and I'll come back and we'll talk about that next year.